For the past year, I've learned plenty about farming. I've not learned all about farming, so for this interview, I decided make the interview my boyfriend, Austin Deepwood. To learn more about farming, I also interviewed him to let everyone realize that farming is not just easy like everyone thinks farming may be. In the off season, you have to lay something called drain tile. Drain tile is a draining system, and it's used to drain all the water out of the fields. During the off season, Austin tells me about how deep the water is and how much they have to put in. They can only buy 7 rolls of drain towel at a time because it's so few. There are only 2 places in Georgia you can buy it. Then they have to get ready for the season, which means they have to get the planters, the harrows, and everything else ready on the farm. One thing they have to do is change the disc on the harrows, which means they have to replace basically the entire harrow. And they have to do this because the disc on them, they wear out. What makes then whenever they get the harrows fixed, they have to go out and harrow the field. This is because it mixes fertilizers and minerals into the soil. Sometimes whenever it can rain like it has decided to these past few weeks, the field gets too wet and it absorbs, and sometimes it stands, which makes the tractors bog down, or they can't get out and they have to use something to pull them out. And it's because the fields are way too wet for them to be doing what they're doing. But yet again, they still do it. Then farming season comes, and this is whenever everything's ready and all the fields have been harrowed and all the planters are ready. One thing that they look at is whether what's better, flat or hilly land. Flat land is better so you don't have so many washouts. Washouts are deeper places where whenever it rains, it fills up with water and it makes it hard to get to anything in that certain spot. And it's easier to get bogged down in those places, like I said before. That's because it's too wet there. Planting season normally lasts about 2.5 months, and this is where they're going nonstop. There were some days that I didn't see Austin, and I thought that he would never get off the tractor because of how bad their work hours were. It was just so late and so early in the morning. But also they have something in tractors called Greenstar. And Greenstar is a GPS system in tractors. And one of the questions whenever I interviewed Austin over the phone was if it really helps or not. And he said it actually does because it allows you not to do as much work, but it helps you get straighter lines. And also, a lot of times Austin and them, they normally plant cotton and peanuts and corn, but 2 of their major ones that go basically at the same time are cotton and peanuts. And one of the questions I asked was, which makes more of a profit, cotton or peanuts? And he basically told me that it just depends on what the stock market does, because one day you can have peanuts up really high and a bale of cotton not so much, but it can flip-flop. And also, I've always wondered, and like I said, I don't know everything, so I did this to learn more, was how do you know whenever you've had a good crop? And he told me it just depends on the yield, just how much you make overall. So from this interview that I conducted, I learned more about the works of farming. I learned that in the off season and the on season, farming is a crazy time of year, all year. In the end, there's more reward from the hard work. Life as a farmer may seem easy, but there are many components of it. And thank you.